Yes, guys, this is the much awaited liquidity video. So straight to the point. People call liquidity different things. Some people say liquidity is fuel, liquidity is fire, liquidity is. But let's just go straight to see the different types of liquidity and how we can use them. So the common or the first type that I would like to mention is transactional liquidity. Now, the idea behind this is the fact that above every high and low, you can consider that a liquidity point because you have pending orders waiting to be used. That's the essence of liquidity. Liquidity is just pending orders that have not been executed. So, like a pool of them are waiting somewhere. So, for example, if you have this, we believe that above this high, we have liquidity, right? Below this low, there's liquidity. Above this, liquidity. Below this, liquidity. As you go on, above liquidity, below liquidity, right? Because we believe that if price is to continue going higher, it has to go higher by pending orders. Pending orders in the market, resting anywhere, is what price will use to keep doing whatever price wants to do. Okay, so this is what we call transactional liquidity. So your transactional liquidity, they are just liquidity that you can find in transactional places, or simply put, the liquidity you have above highs and below lows. So when you talk about your previous week high, that's a transactional liquidity, your previous week's low. You talk about previous daily high or previous daily low. Talk about previous monthly high or previous monthly low. You can talk about sectional high, maybe Asian high or Asian low, or London high, London low, New York high. So those are your classical transactional liquidity, right? So the second type, which is the most important type, is, or one of the most important type, is structural liquidity, SLQ. So structural liquidity is very important, and this is what I'm going to use the major part of this video to cover, right? So number one, things to note: before you can mark structural liquidity, you must understand structure very well, right? Understanding structure is important to marking structural liquidity. And here's why. Structural liquidity means, number one, you are paying attention to the last low before the main low. Last low before the main low. In a buy scenario, last, or sell scenario rather, last high before the main high. So what does that mean? So if we have something like this, assuming this trend started from here, right? The last low before the main low, this is the main low, right? The last low before the main low would be this guy. So we are assuming that this guy can be liquidity for the future. But pay attention to this. This is where it gets funny. This guy here did not break this structural high. So this last low before the main low is the internal type. The external type is this guy over here. So that's why sometimes you see price come here, go up, come back here, and then still go higher, right? So this is the last low before the main low internally. This is the external last low before the main low externally. Now, this would not make so much sense until we see examples, but like have it in mind. For buy scenario or for sell scenario. So if you have something like this, so now this broke, right? Then this broke this. So if this is our main high, this means this is our last high before the main high. This is our structural liquidity. So we expect that in the future, price will come, induce this guy, and possibly move to the downside. So structural liquidity would deal with the last high before the main high, or the last low before the main low, which can either be internal or external. But if you don't understand structure, you would not know which is internal and which is external. But that's not the main problem here. The main problem when people talk about SLQ is identifying what the main low is or what the main high is. Because if you say that our structural liquidity is the last high before the main high or the last low before the main low, then how do I identify the main low? So these are three ways to identify the main low. Number one, your main high or main low is the high or low that starts a trend. And remember, what did you say about a trend? Say for a trend to be established, there has to be two breakup structures. Remember that. Okay. Number two, the high or low that has an inducement and a breakup structure. Okay, so for example, if you have something like this, obviously this I started the trend, right? So this can be our main I. But at the same time, this guy has inducement over here and broke structure. So it means that this can also be our liquidity. So this can be the last low, the last I before this main I, because this is a main I because it has inducement, it has a breakup structure. So price can come here and then sell. And maybe in the future, price can induce this all together and then sell to the downside. Okay, so the first one is the high or low that starts a trend. So for example, this started this trend. The high or low that has inducement and break of structure. This has inducement, it has break of structure. At the same time, it will serve as the last I before the main I, based on the fact that this I started this trend. At the same time, this is also a main I based on the fact that it induced broke structure. So this will be liquidity point. So the third one, so let me recap. There are three types. The first one, the high or low that starts a trend. Number two, the high or low that has inducement and break of structure. Number three, the high or low of an MSU. Okay, of an MSU. So what's an MSU? Right, guys. MSU, I think, is something you see. It's very popular on YouTube. It's called manipulation setup. It's a belief that for every high, or in a bullish market, let me just establish this. In a bullish market, for a bullish trend to continue, price must induce the lows and break new highs. This is the essence of manipulation setup. So in a bullish market, price must induce lows and break highs. In a bearish market, the opposite happens. Price will induce the highs and break new lows, right? That is the background of a manipulation setup. So by and large, this is what we are saying. We are saying that if price wants to keep buying here, for example, price must induce the low, break the high, continue buying. This here is a manipulation setup where price creates a new high, come to induce the previous low, retrace, and then starts to buy. This is the anatomy of an MSU. So for every MSU, this is what you should expect when we talk about an MSU. So let's say you have something like this. For an MSU to be an MSU, the following must be intact. Number one, there must be a fake break of structure. Number two, there must be inducement. Number three, there must be a true break of structure. Now, how do you understand how all of this forms? You understand it when your true break of structure has been formed. So, for example, we are bearish in this scenario. Suddenly, price broke here, right? On this retracement, a lot of people will want to sell from here, right? But what happened? Price induced this guy and decided to sell from somewhere here and then broke. So this is a fake break. This is not a real break of structure, because after a break of structure, you want to sell. But if you sell on this retracement within this range, price is going to eat you out. So this is our FBOS. Now, price now come to induce. Price has come to induce here. So this is our inducement. How do we know this is an inducement? Because we have a true break of structure. So true break of structure now means that if price should come back, I can pick a sell continuation anywhere from here. So the anatomy of a manipulation setup is it has to have a fake break of structure as an inducement and a true break of structure. Okay, so let's say buy scenario. I'm going to try and end the video here. So let's say buy scenario. We have this. So you see, we have fake break. If you try to buy here, price takes you out. So we have inducements, and then we have true break of structure. So when price comes back, especially from here, I'll pick a buy. Why am I picking a buy from here? You guys remember this type 2 structure. Okay, so yep, this is going to be the end here. So in the next video, we'll see a real life example and be able to put these things into practice. So to recap, There's still one more liquidity that we'll talk about, but I'll talk about it when we start to look at the practical aspect. So we have transactional liquidity. That is our previous month high or low, previous week high or low, previous day high or low, sectional high or lows. You can monitor this for liquidity levels. Then we have structural liquidity, which I said is one of the most important ones and one of the most confusing ones. So structural liquidity can either be the last low before the main low or the last high before the main high. But when you talk about main high or main low, you must know what we are talking about so that you can know what is last. And then this can either be internal or external. So depending on what you're looking at in the market. And that's why it says marking structure is very important to identifying structural liquidity. So how do you know what is the main low or main high in order for you to be able to know what the last low before the main low is or what the last high before the main high is? Number one, your main high or low must start a trend. Or number two, your main high or low must have an inducement or a break of structure. Or number three, your main high or low should be the high or low of an MSU. Then we start to talk about an MSU. An MSU commonly called manipulation setup. That's when we believe that for a bullish trend to continue, right, price must break new highs, induce the lows and break new highs. For a bearish trend to continue, price must induce the highs and then break new lows. That's the anatomy. So we said the anatomy, every MSU must have a fake break of structure, must have inducement, and must have a true break of structure. The true break of structure is the true picture or is the anchor to knowing how the MSU works. All right, guys. Sorry the video took too long to post. This week we're going to have back-to-back liquidity videos. I hope you guys have a nice one.